And just because, though, it wasn't on the cable, the woman thought that. So, no, it sickens me. And of course, the people who are saying that we're operating behind closed doors don't have a clue. They're really not wanting to enhance city government. All they're wanting to do is cast aspersion on me or the city council for their own purposes. We're in a political campaign, and I know a lot of things are said. If I tried to rebut every falsehood, every lie, every misrepresentation that has been made in this campaign, I would have a 24-hour, 7-day-a-week job. I've never been in a campaign where I had such scurrilous remarks made by candidates. It really makes one sick that the elective process has degenerated to the point that this has in the hands of some people.
Yeah, your take is that this, of all your campaigns for mayor, is this one the nastiest?
It is, absolutely. This is my 13th campaign for mayor, and all of the others put together would not be as mean, as vicious, as misrepresentative as this one has been.
Is that coming from both opponents, or more one than the other?
Primarily one.
Okay, are you referring to someone who refers to herself as an investigative reporter and claims to have the goods on you?
She was a bill collector for the Memorial Hospital back several years ago. She is supposed to be a minister. I got tickled. I just heard that the Facebook, somebody had run a message across directed at me saying that Swartos did not get her minister's license out of a Cracker Jack box. I never said that. It may have been on the Facebook, but that's the trouble. People can put anything they want in there anonymously. They can use your name if they want.
They could. That would be bad, though.
Well, it might give credibility to what they're saying.
God bless you for saying so, but others might say otherwise.
But no, it really is sad. Bob Owens, I think, has been running a pretty forthright program. I think he's wrong in most of his positions, but you know, that's fine. But Swartos, well, I could not waste my time trying to rebut everything that she's misrepresenting.
Well, Mayor, what do you think this mayor's race in Marion is going to come down to? You know, you've been the incumbent for years and years. You've got the legacy, but what are the issues that you think this campaign will come down to?
Well, I think there are 2 or 3 things. Number one, I was born and raised in Marion. Anybody who has lived in Marion for any length of time knows me, or knows who I am, know what I am. Swartos, I don't know where she's from. She's certainly not from Marion. And I think she is not well known among the people. And the tactics that she is using, she thinks is going to catch hold, and I think she's wrong. People are not going to buy that. But I think those who have a vision, and I believe the person in the mayor's office has to have a vision of where the city ought to be, and then have some idea of how to get there. I think that is imperative. I think also the matter of jobs, creation of business, that has been my emphasis. I got tickled. Some guy said, well, you got Circuit City here, and after 5 or 6 years they went broke, and their building is sitting out there vacant. Well, how unintelligent that person was. You see, we created the city's industrial park because of Circuit City wanting to come here. We met with the Circuit City people, and they said, "Now we need this much land, and we want it done now," and so on. Well, they'd been in and out of Marion for 6 months, and we didn't know anything about it, and they didn't want anybody to know. So, at the meeting, we projected that it was going to cost $2 million for us to buy the land and put the industrial park together to make everything ready for Circuit City. I said, we will do it. I didn't have a clue where the money was going to come from. I wasn't sure where the land was, or even if we could deal with the owners. But I was willing to take the risk because I felt it was something that was imperative. We need. Okay, Circuit City came. They built a facility that has 27 acres under roof. The original survey of the city of Marion was 20 acres. So you could have put the whole city of Marion in that building in the beginning. Well, they employed 180 people for 5 or 6 or 7 years. They infused thousands and thousands of dollars into our economy. Now, sooner or later, that building is going to be sold. Somebody is going to come in and take it over and use it. And so, I don't. Sure, it was sad that Circuit City went out of business across the country, but so what? We have this facility. It's worth millions of dollars, and sooner or later, it's going to start producing and have jobs. So.
Yeah, it's still on the interstate, and that's the thing that makes Circuit City pick you originally. I think they were doing some negotiation that indicated Carbondale was another site. Well, that's kind of ridiculous. They need to be on an interstate.
True.
Well, talk a little about your vision of Marion in the years ahead, both for the remainder of your next term if you're reelected, and what you'd like to see the city become ultimately.
Well, it's a little difficult. I don't have a final destination in sight. What I envision is continuous, gradual growth. Now, we have been able to assimilate growth because growth has been gradual. It's just like our population. It picked up, well, we were 16,035 in 2000. We're up to 17,190 something now. So we picked up roughly 1,200 people. And we've been doing that about every 10 years. As new businesses come in, as new people have moved to town, as our population has grown, we've been able to keep pace with our streets, with the water, with the sewer service, this is great. There was a time when I visualized Marion just having an explosion, just suddenly growth, expansion, all at one time. And one day I was driving around town and I was looking and I said, the explosion has been happening. It's just been in slow motion. And that's the way I would categorize what has been happening. That is what I would expect and really hope to continue on into the future. And of course, we've done a lot of things. We had a $6 million flood control project. The south central part of Marion, when we get a 3 or 4 inch rain, we have 4 or 5 feet of water. The intersection of the Court and Main are 37 and 13. I couldn't count the number of cars and trucks that have drowned out trying to go through the water there.
I think that predates me because I don't recall that ever happening.
Yeah, well, see, and one of the reasons it doesn't happen now, we can have a 4 or 5 or 6 inch rain and there won't be 2 inches of water standing at that intersection. But if you will look at the areas that we have channeled the water through, you will think you're sitting on the bank of the Mississippi River at high flood. But I worked on that for 25 years. When Dan Walker was governor, he came to town and he was saying, is there something I can do for the people of Marion? I said, yes, sir. Governor, we need to do something about the flooding in Marion. And he says, okay, we'll have a survey made, see what the problem is. They appropriated $50,000 for a survey. The survey came back and said Marion has a flooding problem. And okay, well, years later, Congress passed a law, 566, Department of Agriculture, to take care of flooding problems. Well, we happen to have enough land classified as agriculture within the corporate limits that we qualified to get money from the Department of Agriculture for a flood control project. They put in $6 million, and it has been worth every penny of it. But we still have pockets, isolated pockets of flooding, and this is something that we've got to address and try to. It's not easy, it's going to be difficult, and it will take some money, but always, anything we undertake costs money. This is one of the, you see, we live and die by sales tax. The sales tax revenue for the city probably is 85% of the city funds. Of course, we get a portion of the state income tax, we get motor fuel tax from the state, and those things are based on your population. And we surely need those funds. But the sales, retail sales, is so important. And this is, when I took office, we couldn't get, the street superintendent couldn't get $1.25 bundle of wood stakes at a local lumber yard on credit. We were that bad. We were 3 months behind with our street lighting bill, and the CIPS was threatening to cut our lights off. We had to borrow the money, $6,000, and the only place we could get it was from the city hospital board. They had some money. They were very reluctant to loan us the money because they knew how broke we were. But they did, and we paid it back. But we have been aggressive, and I expect to continue to be aggressive, and I expect growth to continue.
Where does Marion sit financially with all the challenges? I think all municipalities in Illinois are concerned because of rising pension obligations that you can't control with public employees, and the unreliability of the state to give you the money they say they're going to give you.
Oh.
Where does Marion sit on this, and what needs to be done?
We have maintained a balanced budget for years. Our real estate tax is as low, city real estate tax is as lower than any community anywhere. Our rate is 37 cents per $100 evaluation. The total tax rate, on the other hand, is like $6.70. Now, we have not raised our real estate tax, but the interesting part about it is the bulk of that 37 cents goes to the police and fire pension funds. Now, the legislature has got to have some statesmen to stand up and do what is right, because if this continues, there isn't a community in Illinois that's going to be able to afford the police and pension fund contributions. It goes up continually, and we have got to have relief. There has to be some kind of a revision. And I know when you talk about the police and fire, that's like saying bad things about Chevrolet, apple pie, and motherhood. But we have to be realistic, and the people in Springfield have got to stand up, have some guts. And until they do, the future in that respect looks dire. But we do not expect to have to raise the real estate tax. One of the candidates for mayor said, well, I'd like to reduce our sales tax. Well, that candidate doesn't have a clue what how this works. you couldn't